Loadboard search out of Thomasville, Georgia. Had a reviewer request a loadboard search out of this area with a 100-mile radius. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to be dry van. Pretty standard here. If you got a request for a loadboard search, there's a link in the About section down below. Just buy me a coffee. Just send me $5. Give me a city and a equipment type, van, reefer, or flatbed, and I will do the search. I'll try to limit it to around 100 searches. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to get, how many I'm going to get with this Thomasville search. We'll see, but I am going to try to restrict it to around 100 search results, because I'm not going to go through 1,000 results, but we'll see what this one gets. So yeah, just throw me $5 and I'll go ahead and do the search for you. So yeah, Thomasville, Georgia is a little bit ways north of Tallahassee. I've never been to this area. It's not very close to Atlanta, so just be aware of that. But let's see what we got here. 5 results. Oof. All right, so for the viewer who requested this, I'm going to have to expand your search results here a little bit. Probably just expand the days. It's about 6 in the afternoon, so that could be part of the problem. Yeah, let's go ahead and expand it. I'm just going to expand it. Let's just try for the whole week and see how many we get there. 178. All right, that's pretty good. Let's just do that. Okay, 141. We'll do that. So it is 6 in the afternoon, so that probably is why this is just not producing any results, because it's so late in the afternoon. So a couple days search for this is fine. And judging by the results that came for basically tomorrow and the next day, this is an okay market, would be my guess, but let's find out. Anyway, so this one's going, where is Fitzgerald, Georgia to Sumner, Washington. Sumner is Seattle, so that's the Seattle area. Okay, so Tifton to Seattle. I don't know this area. I know Atlanta's good, but this is sort of southern Georgia. I'll show you guys where it's at just so you can see it. Yeah, so this is, where is this place? Thomasville. So there's Thomasville right there. And as you can see, it's southern Georgia. Tallahassee's down there. It's a good clip away from Atlanta, so it is not the Atlanta market. So it's saying it's the Tifton market. I have never been to this area, so I don't know a whole lot about this market. I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's not all that good because it's close to Florida, would be my guess. But yeah, so just be aware of that. I'm not too familiar with this area. But this one, I can tell you where it's going. It's going to Seattle for $1.72 per mile. It is nearly a 3,000-mile load, so that is noteworthy. However, Seattle is a trash market, so that's kind of interesting. So if you're going to Seattle, I would expect it to pay about maybe $2 a mile or something, closer to that. So for a better market, so if Tifton was a good market, I would expect this load to pay about $2 per mile, but it's not. It's paying $1.70. So that's bad. That's a bad sign. But it's the first load. But anyways, there's that one. Honestly, I don't know whether that's good or bad because I just don't know this Thomasville market very well. Well, let's keep searching. That one's to same place. Pasco, same idea. It's kind of eastern Washington. But yeah, it's called kind of by Pendleton, Oregon. $1.85. Again, I'm not 100% sure if that's good or bad. I just don't know this market. And honestly, if I were in this market, you know, to the viewer who requested this, if I were in Thomasville, I would just deadhead to Atlanta, to be honest. Atlanta is just a good market, so it's worth deadheading there, in my opinion. But this one going to Pendleton pays $1.85. Might be okay, but I'd probably just deadhead to Pendleton. Anyways, okay, so let's look at this one. Armstrong Logistics, I think they require 3 months of active authority. I have hauled the load for them. They did not pay me my detention because, yep, they didn't pay me my detention. Bastards. Okay, so this one's going to San Francisco. $1.40 per mile. So that is a trash rate going to a not so good market. So looking at this is kind of indicating to me that this Thomasville market, Montgomery market, whatever, isn't all that good. That is what this is currently indicating to me, because that is a really bad rate For that rate, you should absolutely deadhead to Atlanta. Okay? So that's what that indicates, because that's really bad. Oh, I should explain the 15-day market for the new viewers. So you see this, it says the market rate. This is just the average rate that this lane has paid from Montgomery to San Francisco over the last 15 days. It's not infallible. It just gives you a gauge of what you should be getting for this. And it's generally pretty accurate, but, you know, take it with a grain of salt. It can be wrong at times, but just looking at that, that's bad. That's really bad, okay? So there's that. Let's look at some of these other California. I don't know, where's Guston? Same market. Okay, that's Stockton market. Similar to San Francisco. And that is an abysmal rate. I would expect to get that to maybe go to Los Angeles if I needed to. But to go to Stockton, ugh. That's bad. That's really bad. It's horrible. Just horrible. Check out this one. This one's going... All right, so this one's going to LA. Let's see how bad this one is. Yeah, so $1.30 to go to LA. That one makes more sense, to be honest. And, you know, there was that load just a few whiles ago going to Stockton and then San Francisco for about $1.30 per mile. But then this one's going directly to LA for $1.30. LA is a really good market, so fascinating to me that would pay about the same. You would definitely want to take this one for $1.30 versus the San Francisco one. So that's kind of fascinating. But there's that. But yeah, okay, let's go to this. Let's try Minnesota. What does Minnesota pay? Minnesota is paying a little better. Minneapolis, $1.76. I might take that. Yeah, I might take that. Tallahassee to Minneapolis. Minneapolis is a not great market, but it's not terrible. So I might take that one instead. I'd be a little bit more interested in that one than some of the other ones we've been seeing. Okay, New York. This one's paying $2.06. So New York, very bad market. Syracuse, very bad market. Jersey, bad market right now. Eastern Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, all of that is really bad. That's why that pays fairly decently, $2.06. I would not take this. You're not going to a great market, and the route, I'll just show you guys. This route right here through Atlanta and up Charlottesville. What is this? What road is that? I forget. That is the 85. That's the one. That is a busy, hilly, bad drivery route. I don't know if bad drivers on that route. I would not take that. The East Coast is kind of crappy, and that road right there, that 85, is just a really rough road to drive on. So I would not take it. It's going to not a great market and going down a really bad road. Connecticut, same sort of market there. I'm guessing about $2. Yeah, $2.16. So again, same idea, same route, almost, maybe even a little worse. Yeah, I would tend to avoid these kinds of loads, even though they pay a little bit better, theoretically. But Westlaco, Texas. So that's going to the border. Basically, the border right now, those markets are really good, from my understanding. I have not been there, but my understanding from places like McAllen, Texas, and Laredo, ton of freight coming up from Mexico into the U.S. So you can get out of there for a very good rate, but you go in for kind of a crappy rate. That's my understanding of that area. I tend to avoid Southern Texas. It's really hot, and I don't like it there. But I would take it for the right rate. But I'm not going there currently. But that would probably be fine for $1.35 per mile, because I think you get like $2.10, $2.20 to get out of there, generally speaking. Like if you took a load from McAllen to Tifton, it would probably pay $2, $2.10, $2.20, whatever per mile to get out of there would be my guess. Although I have not done it, so just be aware of that. All right, Cedar Falls, Iowa. Cedar Falls, decent market. So Tifton to Cedar Falls is a not bad rate. I'd probably be interested. I'd probably take that one. Cedar Falls is an okay market right now, so to go up there for $1.80 would be fine. I might take that. Yeah, I'd probably take that, to be honest. I'd be interested in that. Going over to Cedar Falls. Over there. There it is. Somewhat close-ish to Chicago, kind of. Yeah, I might take that. And looking at that, based on this load right here, this is kind of indicating that the Tifton / Thomasville market, the Thomasville, Georgia market, isn't very good. So I think it's clearly, all these loads are clearly indicating that this Thomasville market is not great. Pretty subpar as far as getting out of there. I would think Cedar Falls, Iowa would pay a little bit less than that if it were a better market. So yeah, I mean, I still would probably take that Cedar Falls load, but I don't think this is a very good market, is my guess. It's Tifton to Kansas City, $1.80, also fine. Kansas City, yeah, I would take this one before I took the Iowa load. But yeah, all in all, what this is indicating to me is Tifton is a meh market, maybe slightly below average market, is what I'm guessing here. But it's not too bad. It's okay. I should take that back. $1.80 to go to Kansas City is okay for this market. I know it's bad right now, so you know, I'm existing in pretty much a crap market. So these rates are basically what I've been seeing. Rates similar to this is what I've been seeing. $1.60 to $2 per mile for most loads is what we're getting in this market lately, guys. So that's just the way it is. But yeah, so Tifton to Milwaukee, $1.70. Okay, that's okay. That is definitely okay. Milwaukee is basically Chicago, so Chicago should be a better market. So okay, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe Tifton. Actually, I'm looking at this. Tifton might be an okay market. Like, it might be generally an okay market as I'm kind of looking at these again, taking another gander at them. But it's really weird. That San Francisco run for like $1.30 made no sense. That just made no sense. And that run up to Seattle that I looked at first to Sumner, Washington, made no sense. Like, so that, I don't know, I'm getting some mixed results here as far as these loads. Some of these are just not making much sense. All right, what did Ohio pay? All right, so Tallahassee to Cleveland. Okay, almost $2 per mile to go to Cleveland. I was just in Cleveland, specifically Boardman, and it's okay over there. So Tallahassee to Cleveland for $2 per mile. Okay, all right, that's not too bad. You know, I take it back. Maybe the Tallahassee / Thomasville market is okay. I think it's okay now that I'm looking at some of these. Because Cleveland is a decent market. I just came from there, so yeah. TQL, I book a lot of loads with them. The load I'm currently on, I booked with them. They do work with new MCs, and that's one of the main guys you're going to work with when you first get your authority active. So I'm not endorsed by them. I'm just telling you. That's the way it is. All right, Oklahoma City, $1.80. Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. This market seems okay. So to the viewer who requested this, it seems like a decent, halfway decent market now that I'm kind of looking at a few more of these. It's okay. Yeah, maybe slightly above average. It's just that Sumner and the San Francisco load threw me through for a loop. Those were weirdly underpaid according to the 15-day average. So Oklahoma City is an okay market. So there's that. Look at Pennsylvania, Allentown, Pennsylvania. $2.35. Yeah, that's a dead market. I might take that for $2.35. Again, I just don't like running that. I don't like running up the East Coast. It's just too many hills, too many people, too many bad drivers. So, yeah. Yeah, probably avoid that, even though it pays really good. You are not going to get a good rate coming out of there is a problem. So, and bad drivers. New Jersey, same thing. Yeah, $2.22 per mile. I might tend to avoid it for all the reasons previously listed. Baltimore, same thing. $2.27. Bad market, bad road. I would tend to avoid, even though it pays better. Indiana. So I got Waterloo. Yep, this is where Napoleon got defeated by the British. Right there in Indiana. Waterloo, Indiana. That's where that battle went down. Definitely Waterloo, Indiana. Yep. Definitely not Europe. It was here. So I tipped into Fort Wayne anyways. All right. $1.85. Sorry. $1.85 to go to Fort Wayne. Yeah. That's okay. That's decent. Yeah. I might take that. Get up to Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's an okay market. The Midwest, so the Midwest seems to be switching back to an okay market. Last couple months has been pretty bad, but it seems to be a little bit better. I just came from there, and I've been there a couple of times, and it seems to be all right. Seems to be all right recently. Although Detroit, I don't know, this is indicating Detroit's not so good. So $1.95 to go to Detroit. That would indicate getting out of Detroit isn't all that good. I have not hauled anything from Detroit in a while, so don't know. But I might be interested in that. It can't be too bad, and you're not too far from Cleveland, so yeah, I would haul that. I would definitely haul that up to Detroit. Worst comes to worst, you can deadhead to Cleveland or something like that. Illinois, Bridgeview, I'm pretty sure that's Chicago. Yeah, Joliet, that's Chicago. $1.73, about the same as Milwaukee. No surprise there. That's definitely worth hauling. I would definitely try that. Not bad. New Jersey, Texas. What do we got for Texas? That is Houston. Or, no, that's San Antonio. $1.60? That doesn't make much sense, to be honest. San Antonio is like the worst of the three markets there. So you got Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. San Antonio is usually the worst, so I find it fascinating that it pays $1.60. I think I would avoid that. I would try to get to Dallas or Houston rather than San Antonio for that rate. All right, there's a Chicago run. $1.84. Huh. Pays more than Milwaukee? Yeah. I don't particularly think that's accurate. I would think the Milwaukee run would pay more than the Chicago run and the Joliet run. So again, the 15-day average, it is a gauge to give you an idea of what you should be getting paid, where otherwise you would have no way of knowing what the average has been, but it is not infallible. And looking at this, the idea that Chicago pays more than Milwaukee, questionable, very questionable, but there's that. All right, here's a Dallas load. Let's see here. Yeah, and the idea that going to Dallas pays more than going to San Antonio doesn't make much sense. Dallas-Fort Worth is definitely a better market than San Antonio here. So I think that load going to San Antonio is inaccurate. I think you would get more than that. So yeah, but going to Fort Worth, that's fine. Even though it's $1.68 per mile, Dallas-Fort Worth is a good market, and you can get out of there for a decent rate. So it's never a mistake to take this load, even for $1.70 in this market anyway. Texas, where in Texas? All right, there's a Houston run. Houston, $1.83. Again, that just doesn't seem right. Houston is the best market, so basically, in Texas, you got the three main markets. You got Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. Traditionally, Houston is the best, Dallas is the second best, and San Antonio is the worst. All three are okay, but this is all reversed, right? San Antonio paid the least to go to what should be the worst area. Then Dallas paid a little bit more to go to a slightly better area, which is backwards. And then Houston, which is traditionally the best market, pays the most. So that doesn't make much sense. Now, maybe the markets have flipped since I've last been there, but that seems unlikely. That seems unlikely. I think this isn't exactly accurate. So I'm not sure about this. If you can go to Houston for $1.83, you should definitely do it. But I'm not confident that market rate is 100% correct there, to be honest. So, all right, let's keep moving. Where is this one? Indiana, that's Fort Wayne. Indianapolis. Yeah, $2 to go to Indianapolis. You should definitely take that. Again, I don't think that's right. I think you're going to book it for probably like $1,500 to go to Indianapolis if you can. I think that's a little high. I'm not confident that's right. Ryan Transportation Services, 3 months of experience. I am registered with them, but I have not hauled a load for them. So, yeah, just be aware. All right, Ohio. Where is Tip City? I don't know where it's at. Columbus, $1.95. I'd haul that. For $1.95, you can haul that. I'm not confident you get that. I think that's a little bit too high. Ohio seemed like a decent market when I was there 3 days ago. So, yeah. Louisville, $1.75. Yeah, the idea, so Louisville and Columbus are, well, they're a little ways away. I don't know. I feel like you can get a little bit more for the Louisville load, to be honest. So Louisville is right on the border with Ohio, by the way. So that's an Ohio market. So yeah, it's pretty close to Indianapolis. There's Cincinnati. So yeah, is that accurate? Maybe, but might be a little low. I can't tell sometimes. Again, I'm not familiar with this Thomasville region here. That's the same kind of place. So, North Carolina, 212 to go to Raleigh, North Carolina. Fairly short load, only 600 miles. North Carolina, decent market, so that's fine. If you run the East Coast, there's a load for you. Nothing wrong with that load at all. That's totally fine. I just don't like running the East Coast. Not my thing. Lafayette. Yeah, fairly short load again, 500 miles, 216 a mile. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, totally fine. It's never a mistake to haul a load like that. I try to keep my loads a little bit longer though. That's my style. RXO capacity, 3 months of active MC. I have hauled loads for them. They're fine. They're about as fine as it gets. Nothing wrong with them. Nashville, Tennessee. Oh, this video is running pretty long. $1.75. Nashville, decent market. Never a mistake to haul that. The New Orleans load was better though. Yeah, maybe going to New Orleans would be better. How many more of these got? Alright, I'm trying to hit every region like I normally do. Miami, terrible market, terrible. That's why it pays $3.22. Terrible, because you're gonna have to deadhead all the way back. But there you go. If you wanted that one, you know, that's fine. It would average $1.60 per mile, but half of it is empty and it's completely flat. So you could definitely do that. It's not a mistake. Nashville, Baton Rouge. Already looked at Louisiana, South Carolina. Okay, let's look at this. Charleston. 270. Wow, what? 272 per mile to go to Charleston. It is a fairly short load, but I think that's a little ambitious. I think you'd get closer to the bottom of that range, like 900, to be honest. That's a little bit ambitious. I'm not sure you'd get that. All right, but there's that. North Carolina, Columbia, Florida, Alabama. 364 miles, $1.87. Nah, I don't think so. That doesn't pay enough. Nah, it's going to take you all day for only about $700 of revenue. That's not good. You should not take that load. The revenue is too low. Georgia. Okay, let's look at this one. Fairly local. No, not really. Well, you're going to Atlanta, though. So that one goes to Atlanta. Atlanta is a really good market, so you can get out of there for a much more decent rate. I might do this as a filler load if I needed a short load and I wanted to get to Atlanta. I might be interested in this. You could do that. All right, Georgia, Florida. Again, I'm not going to repeat the same places I've already basically clicked on. Let's try this. I will look at this Mobile one. Yeah, 245, 278 miles, 600, 700 bucks. That's a filler load. You know, it's just a filler load. I generally don't do those, but anyways. Okay, Florida, Georgia, Atlanta. Okay, there we go. All right, this video is running a little bit long, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Yeah, there is Thomasville, Georgia, going anywhere. Just keep scrolling up. Seemed like, at first I didn't think it was a very good market, but now that I'm kind of looking at it, it seems decent, halfway decent, not too bad. Just the first couple loads I looked at going to Sumner, and then that San Francisco run, we're like, wait, why is this paying? You know, it just wasn't paying enough. So, but it seems okay. Halfway decent, I would say. A lot of loads going locally to, take a look at that, Nazareth, to the southern regions. So if you wanted to stay in the south, you definitely could achieve that in Thomasville. But yeah, there you go. Thomasville, Georgia, which is kind of north of Tallahassee. Again, if you guys have a request, there's a link in the description. Click on it, throw me $5, give me the city and the equipment type, and I'll do a load board search for you. But that'll do it for this video, guys. See you in the next one.